having me.
Great, and I'm super excited to this conversation, and I know that with you, like this short time that we talk, there's so much insight, so much inspiration, so much knowledge, and we could make this like 3 hours, but we'll have to compress it. So, could you tell us, like, you've been to so many countries, but you're born in Nigeria, right?
Yes, I was born in Nigeria. I was born in this beautiful, hilly, rural part of southeast Nigeria. I was raised there until I did my primary school there. And then I went to high school in a city nearby. I was born into a family. I have in between 4 brothers, 2 in front of me and 2 behind me. And that kind of shaped my character a little bit. Yeah.
What kind of kid were you? Were you quiet?
Oh, well, what kind of kid? A girl child are you when you have 2 boys and 2 boys in front of you and behind you? You learn to be bold. I was a bold child, assertive. I had a voice and I had to use it, okay, to find my place, and then so I was also strong-willed, but I was generally a good child. Yeah.
I like it generally.
Yeah.
Like all of us generally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to high school.
Yes, I went to high school in a nearby city. I went to an all-girls school, and quite a great experience. And then at 17, I went to university.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was pretty early, though.
Yeah, I wasn't too bad in school.
That's it. Here, I want to allow you to be humble.
Yes.
Like, you got bragging rights. So tell us, you were doing very well in school, super smart, and you got your first degree in Nigeria, and then you got another one in Nigeria.
So I went to university. I went to University of Nigeria in Soka, which was one of the finest and the best universities in the country, and got my bachelor's in history and archaeology. Then after that, I did a bit of just a small bit of work, a little bit of teaching, and then I met a man. I met the man.
There are rumors that he's here around.
I believe so. Yeah, and so meeting him changed my life because he was living in Italy at the time. He was on holiday.
Wow.
And then so we decided to get married, and of course that took me over to Europe.
Wow.
So where I spent the next 20-something years of my life. And so when I got to Italy, I went back to university to study translation. So I studied as a translator, English-Italian, with a little bit of French passive. And
you speak 4 languages, 4 international languages.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Starting from my mother language, Igbo. Yeah. And so I did that, and then I started worked a little bit in the Italian system, and then joined a UN agency, UNIDO. And while I was working also at a later time, I did my MBA, so with the University of London.
Wow, that's really, really amazing. Like they're like muffled claps. And for me, like, speaking Italian, speaking French, speaking English, speaking Igbo, like for me, I kind of feel like I'm Italian in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. You should be very Italian.
I'm from Castiglione Cremona.
Oh God, mafia.
Yes, I'm Don Giuseppe.
Okay. Don Leone.
Yeah. And so, when you got your master's and you worked for the UN, how did you progress now to moving to starting your own organization? Did you just first of all start conferencing, or was there something that pushed you?
we came back to Africa. I followed the man back to Africa. Okay, he was transferred to Cape Town. So that was how we ended up in Cape Town. And then after 2 years, he was transferred again, and then we ended up in Ethiopia. Okay, so when I got to Cape Town, I worked 2 years at UCT as the Research Administration Manager for the IIDMM. And then I left again to follow him to Ethiopia. So by the time you are making all these moves, cutting and all that, you just cut better 2 years. So when I was in Ethiopia, I had to I took the time. It was a very reflective period of my life. Okay, I had the time in my hand. By the way, I'm also a mother of 2 adult children, an engineer and an economist. Okay, yeah. So like they are grown, and so I had time, and it was also a period of my life that I lost my mom. Okay, so it gave me a lot of time to think and what I really needed to do, and women and entrepreneurship, innovation, all those things, they have always been there for women for reasons that had to do with my childhood, who I was, and also something that I got involved in the first time when I got to Italy. And then entrepreneurship, because I always had it there, yeah. So by the time we finished in Ethiopia, it was either going back to Europe or what. He had finished, and I had to start something. So he said, okay, whatever you want to do, yeah. So we chose. I realized that I didn't want to go back to Europe, but I wanted to stay back here. And by that time, I had taken the time to travel across Africa, met some women, spoke to them about my ideas, and and some of them supported me. Yes, this is something really needed. So that was how the African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship was born. Yeah.
And what have been some of your challenges, like when you were starting? What were some of your biggest challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge was, I started it in 2005, but as a conference initiative. It wasn't supposed to be an organization. My idea was to put up a platform to bring successful women entrepreneurs, to showcase them and then also to talk about the role that women are playing, contributing to the economy. So that was the idea, and that was what we did in 2005, but the kind of, impact and interest. We were hosting this conference in first week of September, and then by the middle of September, third week of September, the UN General Assembly was going to sit, and they were going to release the new Sustainable Development Goals that would take over from the Millennium Development Goals. So hardly did I know that women's economic empowerment would be a part of those goals, and not only being a part of those goals, that's goal number 5, but the whole 17 goals actually, if you don't, so then after the conference in 2015, we realized that it needed to be an organization so that we could carry out projects that are more impactful and then have more targeted, initiatives to carry out. And that's how it is. And then in 2006, we still had it in Nigeria. Then last year, in 2017, we brought it to Cape Town. Challenges are the same ones, that you encounter. And then I say women, it's much more. The first challenge is accessing finance, because when you decide to go into business, it's tough. You have to raise the capital. So I had a challenge, raising that. I'm grateful I had to tap into family resources, and then, so that's one challenge. And then the second one would be finding the right skills, as, putting up your team, because you have very little financial resources. You cannot afford very experienced people, so you have to take a team that who will share your passion and then help you, and then you grow with them and all that. So this has been the challenge, the 2 main challenges. But gradually, we are on top of them now. Yeah. Currently, I have a super team, that. So you see all the things we're doing now.
Yes. Well done. Great. And working with women from across the continent, what are some of the common challenges that are specific to women as opposed to men?
The common challenges in terms of entrepreneurship, you mean? Okay, the common challenges are, first, for many people, is access finance. Okay, that's one big challenge. Then the second challenge is markets, having access to markets for their products and services. And then I would say another challenge is information, knowledge, information. They don't have access to enough information, and networking, opportunities to network, because as businessmen we know that it's very crucial, it's very important, who you meet, they make that change for you. So we try to create opportunities. The platform is about how do you navigate these 4 basic challenges and solving them.
And with the work that you're doing, what have been some of your most inspiring people you've met? Because you've met ex-presidents, presidents, ministers, and founders, CEOs, Nobel laureates, billionaires. Who has been some of the most inspiring that you've met? And then what are some of the things they said that were profound?
Yeah, with my work, I think the biggest satisfaction that I get, what gratifies me the most, is actually that opportunity to meet these women and men across the continent. You can think of somebody, I left Africa, decades ago, so coming back and then having that opportunity to meet them. So one of the first people that inspired me was one of the women that I spoke to about my idea and who gave me the first support. I would mention her name. She's a Nigerian. She's quite well known. She's Ndidunwuneli. Okay. So I traveled all the way from Ethiopia to speak with her, and the attention that she gave me, and she's the founder of Leap Africa, and she said, I will also partner with you. And they did, that first year. Then another woman was still a Nigerian, who promised the first sponsorship, Audrey, Joy Zibo. And then after that, the billionaires and the millionaires, So each time I meet any one of them across the continent, I think like, oh my God, but then the next one is even more inspiring. Not because sometimes it's not because of how much money they have, but by talking to them and getting to know them and the things that they do, it's very, very inspiring for me. I've always appreciated and liked women, starting from my mother, who was a widow and had to raise 5 children on her own. So that's my inspiration for all this. And so I like powerful women, and I like women who are successful and who are not ashamed to own their success and be unapologetic about it. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And then, some people say women don't support women. Other people say, no, actually, women do support women. What's been your experience? What's your take on it?
My take is that, yes, I think to some extent, less than men, women don't support women. Yeah. So I've come to realize that doing this work, and men are more, men are bodies. They are their bodies, So women are more, restricted. I don't know. They're more hesitant, to go all out and partner with other women and support other women. Yeah, so I really need to say that. Yeah, I've said it before also last couple of weeks ago at our accelerator program. I told it to the new cohort. I said we have to be more supportive of our fellow women. Yeah.
And so what are some of the ways in which women can be supportive of other women? And what are some of the ways to do that?
Well, that networking, when you meet a fellow woman in a networking platform, go all out to, try to find out what that person needs. You just mentioned it now. What do you need? How can I help you? So, and if you see an opportunity that is you can't access for some reason, one reason or the other, find out another woman, who needs that. Then, if you're a woman who has gotten to a certain level up there, give a lending hand. Put down your hand and put up another woman, a younger woman. So, I think men do it more.
Yeah. Great. And in terms of being powerful and being married, do you see that, like some people see it as mutually exclusive? You can either be a very powerful woman and you can't get married because men are scared, or you can be married and not be powerful, so you play down parts of you to accommodate a man who's afraid of a powerful woman. What's been, like, I know your experience, you're married and powerful and your husband is here. Like, what's been your experience with other women and what's your take on that?
My take, I think it depends on the couple. It depends on the people. It varies from individual to individual. I've seen very high-level, powerful women. As a matter of fact, my job when I was in Europe, got me in contact with really. So I had the opportunity to be, to have interacted also at high level, and I've seen people who are very highly placed that had families, stable and all that. Other times, just like you can have people who are not so highly placed, but they still have issues with their marriage. So for me, it's the people, it's the individuals, the man and the woman. Yeah.
What advice would you have for people who are kind of working together or in the same business, man and woman? They're married.
I wouldn't do it myself. No, I wouldn't do it myself. Yeah. It would cause problems.
Let's see. And then, what unpopular sentiments do you have about entrepreneurship and innovation? What is it that you believe that people won't receive it as? Why would you say that? Do you have any beliefs or any sentiments like that?
About entrepreneurship? Sorry, I don't get that. In what sense? Yeah.
In that maybe people believe one thing, a lot of people, but you actually believe something which is different. But very few people seem to agree with you on that. Do you have any beliefs like that on entrepreneurship?
My belief in entrepreneurship, I think the first one is actually very well shared. The fact that you work hard, you need to work hard. It's tough, it's serious business. But then maybe I believe that not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. So it's not we don't all have to be an entrepreneur. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Yeah. So no matter how much money, capital you are given, if you don't have it, that's business acumen, it might not work. But some people think that you can learn entrepreneurship. Okay, that you can learn it. I believe more that you are born, with a business acumen, and then you can develop it more.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I asked that, actually today this is my startup grind number 60.
Yeah. well done, Sandra. Congratulations.
5 years now.
Yeah.
But that's been consistent to find that entrepreneurs and people like you, founders, who say not everybody should be, and it's consistent.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That it's like an art, you're an artist, you're called to be an entrepreneur, and you feel that drive.
Yeah.
Because
you feel the drive, you feel the passion. You are working 24 hours, but you still go on.
Yeah.
You are able to go on because you have it in you.
Exactly. Just like not everybody should be a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrible doctors. Yeah. Great. And what have been some of your major successes? And I think you alluded to some of them already, but what have been some of those highlights?
Personal highlights, has been my being able to navigate work, careers, my desire for constant learning. studying full-time. When you do your MBA, working full-time and raising children, it's either you go mad or... So I thought that was the most challenging thing that I've ever done. But then after that, then I started AWIEF. And it has been tough, but it has been very, very gratifying, because within the space of 3 years, we have been able to launch different programs. We run accelerators, as you know. We have the AWIEF Awards, we have networking breakfast events, and then we have annual conference and exhibition, which is now coming up again in November, on the 8th and 9th of November.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit more about your accelerator program?
Yes, the accelerator programs, we have a very specific one, our flagship growth accelerator program that we launched last year. So it's a rigorous, intensive 3 months training, capacity building training for early stage businesses, post-revenue, ideally between 3 and 5 years, okay? Of course, we are all women, for women entrepreneurs. Multi-sector, you are at that stage where you are looking to scale. Okay, so the program is for all to help create linkages, business linkages by the time we finish for you, and also to help you be investment ready. So that is one. We ran it last year, and we are currently, it was sponsored by Mazar, and this year we have started it with another cohort, and we are on it. And then, and we usually, we are associated with pitch training. So you are also taught how to pitch your business to different stakeholders. Then we get it to the conference, so that at the conference there will be a pitching competition. Then apart from that, this year we started another one in partnership with FemBio. Those are the girls that are now going to Slush. Yeah. So that one is for businesses in the biosciences sector, businesses that have impact on health and nutrition. So it's sector specific, and we have 4 categories: students, master students who have a product idea or they discover that they want to commercialize, okay, that they want to take to market. So you don't own a business yet, but you have this idea that can be commercialized. So that's one category. Then businesses that are innovative, that have a good innovation about them, and ones that are socially have a social impact. Okay, so we ran that one, and we just finished it, and the final tap was attending the SA Innovation Summit, where we took 4 national finalists, and they pitched, and one of them won 600,000 rand from CEDA, and also 70,000 rand from SAV Foundation, and 4 of them are going to Slush in December. Yeah.
That's really great work that you're doing, where it just doesn't impact only you and the people around you, but it impacts somebody's life, and that person has got other people around them, and then they get to share their success story. Sometimes it's just enough to watch somebody else win, especially when you've been pitching and you've been trying, and when people are saying, why did you keep on doing this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have realized that the accelerator programs, they have been very, very impactful and very, very effective. All the girls that, not girls, all the women, all the women that participated in this FemBioBiz, okay, they are young women, and they are all saying, God, my life is changed, my business is changed. The one that the Growth Accelerator program, one of our winners last year is actually Pure Good Food, which is there here now, since this year. So Shannon. And so we get a lot of, we make a lot of impact, with these programs. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. We're going to start taking questions from the audience. Another question for you is, what do you think needs to happen to promote more entrepreneurship, more successful entrepreneurship in the continent?
For women or generally?
You can do for both. So for generally and then for women.
Okay. Generally, I think actually the ecosystem in Africa, the entrepreneurial space is very hot. It's happening. I believe it's Africa's time, and it's very, very exciting. So, but I think what needs to happen is for more government, more policies that favor, that support, entrepreneurship, especially for young, for startups. Yeah. So there is need to create more opportunities, and then a lot of more training opportunities. Yeah. But finance is one key, tool that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of finance, what structures do you think we still need a lot of? In terms of the funding structures, what do you think we really need right now?
In terms of finance, or structures or methods, technologies in finance, fintech, so a lot of them are out there. So the only thing is how do you get businesses to tap into these new technologies, to grow businesses, because it's either you digitalize, you follow that digital world, or you're off. Yeah.
Great. Okay, we're going to take questions from the audience. And then if it's okay with the camera people, we're going to switch on the lights. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you inspired? Those moments when things just don't work the way you planned. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going are the little successes. Yeah, every day, the little impacts. So they keep me going. Yeah.
Cool. Questions from the audience? No questions. Great.
Hi. You spoke about people being kind of born with that acumen, and I quite agree with you that you can amp it up a lot. Regarding the word initiative, because entrepreneurs need a lot of initiative, and in areas where there's very high unemployment, initiative can be very beneficial in starting a business or getting a job. What is your feeling on that word? Do you feel that that can be taught, or does one tend to be born with that initiative?
Yeah, I guess we are all born with initiatives, but it all starts from education, and that's, at the very beginning, it all starts there. So coming back to entrepreneurship, what needs to be done, we also need to improve the quality of education, especially for certain people who live in communities where they are, less privileged. So because we are all born with initiatives, but you need to also be stimulated. You need to be stimulated for those ideas, those initiatives to come out. And when the ideas are out, they also have to be, grabbed. Yeah, because anyway, look, to answer your question, I think we are all born with initiatives, but you need to kind of, work it up with education.
Hi. Thank you for having this talk with us tonight. I wanted to know with regards to what you said earlier, women don't support women, and you found that men have more of a supportive stance within either business or just general entrepreneurship. I wanted to know if you sort of think that that's more around environment, where people are forced, particularly women, forced to work in a certain way in order to get ahead, and whether, men have a chance to, they don't need to fight anybody for that, whereas women, we kind of put in a position where we need to fight, and when we put in an environment where we don't need to fight, we can actually work together and collaborate. On my own experience, we tend to collaborate more purely because the environment allows it.
I don't know, but I still believe that women compete more against themselves than men do. Not only in the entrepreneurship landscape, but also in the offices, in the work environment. You know, I believe so, and I can't tell you it's not. It's the opposite. Yeah, women compete more against themselves than men do.
Hello Irene, thank you so much for sharing with us again. I just wanted to find out from you, what would you recommend in terms of practical top 3 advice that you would offer to women in terms of women entrepreneurs, specifically in the early stages? What advice would you offer in terms of access to funding and approaching specifically corporate and access to government funding?
Yeah. Advice is first of all, you have a vision. Okay. Don't hesitate on driving your vision forward. You will encounter a lot of difficulties, but persistence and resilience, you will need that a lot. Then to access, there are a lot of funding opportunities from corporates and also from government. So you need to find out information, access the information, and then do what you have to prepare your books. Not just your books. You have to be what we call investment ready. So get yourself ready, and you will access the support because they are there. Government, they have, especially in South Africa. There are lots and lots of opportunities of enhancing businesses, but you have to go out there and do what it takes, to access them.
I know this is a broad question that I want to ask, but you've traveled. You're very well traveled, and you've seen, I guess, you've seen them. In your travels, do you think there is hope? We've been talking a lot about entrepreneurship, and this is a word that we've actually been talking about for many years. Initiative, entrepreneurship, and it seems like Africa is at the core of this entrepreneurship thing, this initiative thing. Do you think there is hope for Africa though? And economically, do you think there is actual hope? And if there is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate us? Because I know we can keep talking about entrepreneurship and but how real is this deal?
It is very real. If it were not so, I wouldn't be here. Honestly, I would have been back to Europe, But way back in 2013, when it was time for me to take that decision, I already saw, a lot of hope. I'm an optimist when it comes to Africa, okay? And a lot is happening now. It's very, very vibrant. You have a lot of people enthusiastic, with energetic, innovating, and everything. I was just reading an article that was actually sent to me to the former president of Mauritius, who is going to be our keynote speaker for the conference in November now. So she just sent me on WhatsApp this article, released I think by Disrupt Africa, that MIT, they have this Solve challenge, and 10 of the winners were from Africa. Okay, and about five of them are also women. So out of 33, okay, and 1,500 applications from across the globe, 33 winners and 10 of them from Africa. So you have a lot of innovations coming up in different sectors: health, agri-tech, fintech, retail, e-commerce, all of them, coming up, and so it's happening. There's hope. So on a scale, I would say 7.
I just have one simple question. I think there's 2 conversations that are happening right now in the ecosystem. There's the questions from the VC and the funders side, where they're trying to understand and see and find, startups that they can fund, and they don't know how to find or where. They go to accelerators and they go to incubators to try and get these startups to be accelerated and fundable, or investment ready, as you say. And then there's another conversation from the startup side where we're like, okay, but how do we actually get access to, the funding that's out there? What do we need to do for us to be able to get access to the network that we need to get for us to be able to be fundable, essentially? So my question to you is, what do you think? I think there's a big gap in the middle between the VC conversations and the startup conversations. What do you think needs to be done for us to be able to bridge that gap?
That's what organizations like AWIEF do, trying to bridge that gap, because the accelerators that we run is partly to get businesses to be investment ready, and then to grow the ecosystem of entrepreneurs ready to access investment opportunities, financing opportunities. Then we talk with the VCs and whoever is looking for businesses to fund, because the investors will tell you, oh, we don't have capital ready or capital worthy businesses. So what we do is to bridge that gap, and there are so many other organizations that are doing that. Okay, so you just have to, in our own case, you can work with us, you're a man. So you just have to, that's part of accessing information, find out who has such a platform, and through them you will access finance. But I can assure you, the finances are there, they are out there.
Hi, Irene. I had a question, maybe linked to the previous question about women in tech specifically. So there's a lot out there about women in tech. There seems to be a lot of initiatives these days. I was wondering, from your perspective, what do you think the biggest missed opportunity in that space and in trying to include more women in tech is? And why would you say that is such a missed opportunity?
The missed opportunity, can you elaborate more on that, please?
Sure. I mean, maybe I'm just a little bit on the periphery of it, and this is potentially too critical. It just feels like these days there are a lot of initiatives around including women in tech, but when you speak to people who work in the tech ecosystem, they still are crying about women not being included and contributing in a meaningful way, and they're still crying about women of color specifically not being included in a meaningful way. So my criticism is, and trying to understand the problem is, if we have so many initiatives to help these women, and particularly women of color, where are they? Why are they not in the businesses? And so where is that missed opportunity then?
I think to answer your question, if I may, and I hope you'll be answering it, having women in tech, it just doesn't happen like that. Having women in tech starts from education. Getting more women into STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. So you can't just become a technologist as an adult woman. So it all starts from science education. So I think as African governments, governments should do more to encourage, to enhance having women into science education, and then that will help to grow the number of women in technology business when they enter into entrepreneurship.
Hi, Irene. I just wanted to find out, I know that specifically with entrepreneurial journeys, there are a lot of complex factors involved, and I think a lot of people talk about the practical steps involved, but not a lot of attention is sort of paid towards mental health or personal sort of struggles. maybe you can mention a struggle you went through or a success story in terms of character building or just what you did in those moments along your journey.
Yeah, it's a lot of, because as an entrepreneur, you practically, they tell you find a balance, life, work balance. For me, honestly, I think you just work, you just work because you have to work. There's no stopping. But every person still has to find that thing that once in a while helps you. In my own case, it's yoga. Okay, so I try to practice my yoga. And then in my own case too, family support, does a lot, to help. I've had to go through a challenge when I mentioned doing my MBA. I did my MBA in a period when I had also intensive work, career, workload, okay, and plus family and all that. And at a certain point, I felt like I was holding an elephant, by the hind legs. And so if you are holding an elephant by the hind legs and the elephant is trying to run, of course you have to let go. And I did let go. I had to, I was worried. I spoke to my professors in the UK. They said, yes, you can suspend it. And I suspended it for 1 year. So you can let go, but you must find something to balance for your mental health, because otherwise it can be a problem.
Irene, hi. So basically what I want to find out is, if you go back many years now to before the studies that eventually obviously led you to where you are today, is what were the three main goals or dreams that inspired you to, or that drove you towards actually, this is where I want to be, and therefore this is the steps that I'm going to take to get there?
Yeah, it started with my family at a young age, my mother and all that. So I have two key important values in my value set, okay, and those are hard work and excellence. And they were instilled in me at a very tender age, And excellence is, my idea of excellence came out of an episode with my mom. I came back from school with the report card where I had 80% in English literature. And she goes, with all the novels that you read, you make only 80%. And I said, I was very hot, and I said, 80% is excellent. And she said, 90% is also excellent. So from that very time, my idea of excellence is that it has no limit. Okay, that anything I have achieved today, I have scope, I have room to improve it. And if I have gotten here, I must move to the next. So that's what drives me. Okay, and yeah, so excellence and hard work.
Great. I know some of the parents say you come back home 98%, like, instead of getting inside, they said, what happened to the 2%?
What happened to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. Parents.
Yeah. Could you tell us now about the conference? And you've got a powerful lineup looking at that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, so we have our annual international multi-stakeholder conference where we bring together the whole ecosystem, together the policymakers, the government, the businesses, the women, the service providers, the investors, and everybody. So we have it coming up. It's the 4th edition at the Cape Town International Convention Center on the 8th and 9th of November. We have brilliant, super high-level speakers as always. For example, we have the former president of Mauritius, we have the vice chancellor of UCT, we have Basi Kumalo for young ones, Then we have them coming from all over, C-suite CEOs of banks and all that. So it's a great opportunity to come, to meet, to network. The unique thing about our platform is that it's a platform that brings together those success stories and also the young, emerging, even aspiring, entrepreneurs. So you get to meet and network and connect. A lot of people are coming from across Africa. We have the awards, the AWIEF Awards, where we recognize and celebrate women across age categories, and many of them are coming from the finalists. They are all coming from across Africa. So I invite everybody. Okay, please, there are tickets to win. We brought some free tickets for people who are attending the startup grind. So it's an opportunity. Join us and meet and connect and learn. Okay, about entrepreneurship, how to leverage on new technologies to grow your business, and a lot more. We have master classes. We are partnering with Thomson Reuters, and a couple of other, partners. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So continue tweeting, okay, quoting, sending amazing social media posts, because that will enable you to win. What's the ticket price so people know how much they actually win?
The delegate ticket is 1,950 rand. So for the 2-day conference, and then for the awards is separate. We're almost fully booked there, so we're not announcing it anymore. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. So we're going to have the Twitter competition draws. People will win, and then also the lanyards draw, and then there's also the helping somebody who's been most helpful, and also the person that came with the baby. I'm super chuffed. I'm very happy that there are people who just make things happen and other people make excuses. So a big hand for the person with the baby. So that will definitely win. That's my golden ticket. So we would like to do the draw. We'll do the draw in the next 5 minutes or so when they're ready. So Irene, I'd like to thank you very much for sharing your inspiring story and sharing your knowledge, and also for the generous tickets to the AWIEF conference. A big hand for Irene.